have logged this run as routine. The word fits on paper, and the paper will go into the archive, and the archive will sit in a basement on a station that nobody visits. That is fine. Some things do not need to be remembered by institutions. Some things only need to be remembered by the people who were there. We called it the Kethavar incident. It was a polite name for what happened 17 years before this mission. A human survey probe, automated, running a photosphere mapping sweep in a system we had cataloged as uninhabited, detected a resonance lattice of enormous scale spread across the third planet's surface. Probe's threat assessment subroutine was 30 years out of date. It classified the lattice as a weapons array. It sent the flag. The automated response package did the rest before any human being had a chance to read the full report. We bombarded a civilization, not to extinction. They were too deep in the crystal for that, and their lattice absorbed most of what we sent. We killed 11,000 of them in the first sequence alone. 11,000 beings we had not known existed 12 hours earlier. By the time the correction signal reached the drone, the damage was done, and the silence had already begun. The Kethavar severed every relay channel they shared with known space. Their world went dark on the galactic network. Every species that had standing relations with them offered formal condolences to us. Condolences, you understand? That were really something closer to contempt, dressed in diplomatic language. Humanity had fired on a crystalline people who had never drawn a weapon in their recorded history. The Council noted it, the record noted it, and then the galaxy moved on, the way the galaxy always does, and left the Kethavar in their silence, and left us with ours. I was a junior pilot on a courier run when it happened. I am a frigate captain now. When the signal came through, I was 3 days out from Relay Buoy Keth 7, which is what we still called the ancient marker beacon they had placed at the edge of their system before they went dark. Beacon existed because we had maintained it. We maintained it because someone in the Relief Corps had decided, 17 years ago, that if the Kethavar ever chose to speak again, we owed it to them to be listening. The signal was a single tone. A dying world frequency, the kind used when a civilization's primary energy source enters terminal cascade. Their star, a warm, orange-class dwarf, had begun a photospheric instability event. Left unchecked, it would strip the outer atmosphere from Kethavar Prime within 14 months and render the surface uninhabitable within 22. They had sent the tone on the old emergency channel, the universal one, the one every spacefaring species monitors by treaty. I pulled the relay logs. Tone had been broadcasting for 9 days. I found acknowledgement signals from 4 separate Galactic Council members. They had each logged it, confirmed receipt, and filed preliminary assessment requests, which is the bureaucratic equivalent of leaving someone bleeding in a corridor while you check whether the paperwork permits you to help. No one was going. The political weight of the Kethavar incident still sat on the ledger. No species wanted to be the one to arrive in that system, however gently, after what a human machine had done there. The mathematics of compassion kept failing against the mathematics of reputation. I transmitted my intentions to Fleet Command and received, after a 6-hour lag, a response that said, in the careful language of officers who do not want to authorize something, but also do not want to forbid it. Proceed at your discretion, Captain. No second vessel available for support at this time. Keep the log clean. My crew of 11 said nothing when I laid it out for them. My engineer, a woman named Osvoth who had been on 3 prior humanitarian deployments, hit the star chart for a long moment and then looked at me. "They're not going to be glad to see us," she said. "No," I said, "probably not." "We going anyway?" Yes, she nodded once and went back to her board. We came out of transit at the edge of the Kethavar system on a cold, flat approach. No active sensors, no weapon signatures. Transponder broadcasting on every channel, including the old emergency one. I wanted them to see us coming from as far out as possible. I wanted there to be no ambiguity about what we were and no possibility of another. Misread. The planet, when we reached orbit, was half dark. I had seen images of Kethavar Prime from before the incident. A world that glittered. Space, its surface a continuous lattice of crystalline formations that caught the starlight and scattered it back in patterns so complex they designed. Because they were designed. Because the Kethavar built their cities from the living mineral of their own world, growing them up over centuries the way other civilizations lay stone. In the old images, the entire planet had the quality of a cut gem turning slowly in a jeweler's light. Now the eastern continent was dark. The lattice there had gone cold. I did not know if it was from the incident or from the cascade damage or from both. And I did not ask, because it was not a question that helped anyone. The transmission came from the surface 11 minutes after we achieved orbit. No image, just audio, translated through the old Kethavar protocol that our systems still carried. The voice had a resonant, layered quality. 2 tones at once. Their people spoke in harmonics, and it said, "We recognize the human vessel. We recognize the registry. You are the first to respond." I keyed the transmission myself. "We are here to assist with evacuation, if you will permit it. We have cargo capacity for approximately 4,000 individuals, and we can make as many runs as necessary. We ask nothing in return. We have come because you asked, and because we are able." There was a pause. Long enough that Osvith glanced at me from across the bridge. Then the voice returned. "How many runs will you make?" "As many as it takes," I said. "We are not leaving the system until your people are clear." Another pause. "Shorter this time. We will begin organizing the northern relay point. Give us 4 hours." We gave them 4 hours. Came to the shuttle landing site at the northern relay was not a crowd in distress. It was a line. An orderly, patient, quiet line of Kethavar. Tall beings, faceted and luminous in the pale starlight. Their outer surfaces catching even the dim glow of their failing sun and throwing it back in muted colors. They carried what they carried, and they waited without noise. Our medics moved through the line, offering what we had. Warmth wraps, nutrient packets. The coolant shrouds we had jury-rigged from cargo insulation. Because we had learned on the transit over that crystalline physiology requires a very specific thermal range. The Kethavar accepted what was offered and said little. We ran 8 trips down and back in the first rotation. We slept in shifts, my crew, and kept the shuttles moving through the long planetary night. Osvoth reconfigured 2 storage decks to extend the thermal environment. She did it without being asked. My medic, a young man named Carrasco, 3 of the Kethavar harmonic words for pain and comfort, and used them until his pronunciation was, apparently, good enough that an elder corrected him gently, rather than simply bearing the gap in translation. On the 4th day, the elder came aboard, not the one who had transmitted, or perhaps the same one. I could not be certain. This elder moved to the bridge on its own, and stood at the viewport for a long time watching the planet below, the dark half and the glittering half, the slow ruin of a world that had been building itself for longer than humanity had been using fire. I stood beside it and said nothing. There was nothing useful to say. After a time it spoke. 2 tones together, a chord that the translator rendered as, "We did not believe you would come." "I know," I said. "We were wrong," it said. And then, after a beat that felt very deliberate, "We're also wrong once. And yet here you are." I did not answer that. The elder did not seem to need me to. We completed the final evacuation run on the 9th day. 31,407 Kethavar, spread across every cubic meter of available space on a frigate rated for 800, nested in improvised thermal berths, breathing recycled air, eating our ration stocks, and whatever they had brought from the surface. Crew smelled like coolant fluid and had not slept properly in 5 days, and no one complained once. I filed the log as routine when we departed the system. It was not routine. But the word keeps the record simple, and simple records don't ask questions that take lifetimes to answer. Some things are better carried quietly, by the people who were there, across whatever silence remains.